I'm gonna throw together a crock pot recipe that my husband actually told me about. He saw it and he said it looks so great. When I was younger, we just called it potato and hamburger soup, but this one's actually called cheeseburger soup. This sounds absolutely delicious. The original recipe calls for 1 pound of ground beef, but I'm using ground turkey due to my allergies. I'm using 2 pounds of ground turkey. I didn't do anything special to this turkey. I just went ahead and scrambled it up, and I did wash it and rinse it. I like to do that. So I've got my crock pot over here. I went ahead and I oiled it down. Now you can use one of those plastic bags if you want to, the liners, that's fine, you do to you, but I don't like them, and I just like to oil mine. So I'm gonna put this 2 pounds of ground turkey in my crock pot. Now you could very easily do this on the stove top. This would be a hard recipe to do if you're working 8-10 hour days, because it's got several steps to it. And it could very easily be done on the stove top. Now that I've got 2 pounds of ground turkey in here, I'm going to add my potatoes. And I cut up 3 medium-sized potatoes. You can do 3 to 4 potatoes. I've got 1 cup of diced carrots, about 1 cup of celery diced, and I do freeze my celery because you know how you buy celery and you get it for that one recipe? You can just freeze the rest of it and use it in the future. Okay, so I've got some minced garlic here, and I'm going to add 2 teaspoons. And I am scraping bottom here. So I'm just gonna pour it all in there. And we're gonna add some parsley. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of parsley. Now I'm gonna add 1 pinch of basil, and this is my own homegrown basil. And I will post the original recipe for you guys. I tend to stray from the recipe. So the recipe calls for 3 cups of chicken broth. And that's about 3 cups. How do you go wrong with this? So now I'm gonna put a lid on it. I'm gonna plug this up. I'm gonna turn this on high, and I'm gonna cook this for 3 hours, and then I'll be back and we're gonna add something else.
Yum, it's looking good, and oh my goodness, this has made my house smell wonderful. Okay, so it's 3 hours later. The crock pot's still going, it's on high. Go ahead and grab a skillet. You'll need 3 tablespoons of butter. Turn that stovetop eye onto low. We are going to add 1.5 cups of milk to this butter. We're going to make a roux. Next, we're going to add 3.5 tablespoons of flour, and I just used heaping tablespoons. Now, I was looking at the second part of my instructions on the recipe, and this is how it told me to do it. And then once I did it, I realized, whoa, this is not typically how I make a roux. Typically, I would put the flour and butter in and make a paste, then add the milk. So if you're following along, do that. It just always makes a much smoother gravy or roux when you blend the flour in with the oil. But hey, this worked. And just go ahead and give this a stir and keep stirring, and do not leave this. Anytime you're making a roux, you really want to stay with it and keep stirring. Now this didn't take very long, maybe 5 minutes, and it started thickening up. Go ahead and add some salt and pepper to taste. And we're not done yet. Now we're going to add 1/3 of a block of cream cheese. If I'm not mistaken, the original recipe that I went off of called for 1/4 a block of cream cheese, but I did 1/3. And I do buy my cream cheese in bulk. I buy 3 or 4 blocks at a time and I freeze it. So when you put it in recipes, it does kind of get a little gooey as it has thawed out. But this works perfectly, and I always have cream cheese for recipes, so I really like that. And another tip for you, when you open that cream cheese up to put it in a recipe, it doesn't stick to the package. I love that. So you can freeze cream cheese. Now the roux is looking really nice and smooth, and we're gonna add this roux to the crock pot. This is looking good already, even without the roux. Okay, now we're gonna add that, and we're also not done yet. We're gonna add some cheese. We're adding 1.5 cups of cheese. It calls for 16 ounces of cheese, and that's about 1.5 cups of shredded cheddar cheese, mild cheddar cheese. Give it a stir. And at this point, this has already been cooking 3.5 hours. So I cut my crock pot on low and I let this just cook for another hour. And voila.
Doesn't that look amazing? Let's see what it tastes like. Ooh, that's really good. It might need a little more salt and pepper, but it is perfect. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna add some more salt and pepper. And I'm also gonna fry up some cornbread to go with this. I think that would be perfect. The flavor is amazing. Y'all need to make you some of this. We're gonna have supper, and I hope all of you have a great evening.